After a year of putting this Zeus Sky Engines 300 through real-world use, we're going to find out today if it's more than just specs on paper, and is it worth it?
All right, everyone. Today we're breaking down the one-year review of the Zeus 300 engine. We've been using it daily for training, tandem flights, as well as just fun use. And we have about 50 hours on it, and so far, it's been great, but we got a lot more to delve into.
Okay, first impressions versus reality. We bought this unit primarily for its power. 44 horsepower really gives you some capabilities on tandem flying that you wouldn't have with lesser horsepower. So that's the reason why we bought the engine. But let's talk about how it turned out in reality. What do you think, Kyle?
Honestly, anytime that we get something new, we always have high expectations, I think, off the get-go. And this thing was no different. But the power that it had, I think anyone who has flown it, heard it, taxied it, any of the above, will tell you right away that it has plenty of power and more than you need in a lot of cases. But man, it's awesome, and I wouldn't trade the power. I definitely think that it is the smoothest power for the type of engine that it is. Out of all of the tandem units that we use, it has the most power and is the smoothest.
Well, and I was going to say that's not why we bought it. We didn't buy it for the smoothness aspect, but that was a reality. That was not even part of our expectations. But it's an extraordinarily smooth engine. Honestly, there's nothing that I can truly compare it to except maybe an electric. It feels butter. It's nothing.
I would say, as far as smoothness, maybe the Rotax 582, because that thing's really smooth, but it's a different smooth because it's a really big engine. And I normally flew the Eco 2 with the RMZ 500, so I have plenty of time on that. And then coming to this, the power to weight is obviously better, but it's so much more smooth than any engine in this hangar. This is the smoothest engine that we have. So as far as maintenance goes, there's good and there's bad, but that is with any engine. So Travis, what did we really see were the maintenance things and the things that we needed to take care of to make sure it stays reliable and continue to work?
There were two issues that we've had. One was just an annoyance and pretty minor, to be honest. We did have two exhaust springs that broke over the course of a year, and they take about 2 minutes to replace. So no big deal. We've seen that happen on other paramotors. We found it during post-flight, and we fixed it. The other, I think that was more problematic, annoying issue was a hot start issue with this engine. And we struggled with that where the engine always started cold, and then after it flew and came down and sat for 10 minutes, it was very difficult to get it restarted. And that was very frustrating, to the point that we thought, we had other engines that we pulled out and they worked fine. We thought we were sending this one back. But that led to us doing some troubleshooting and figuring out that we were running way too much oil.
Yep, too much oil.
Beyond what Sky Engines recommended. So we pulled the oil mixture back from 40 to 1 to 50 to 1, and voila, we did that 3.5 months ago, and it starts hot, no problem, every single time now.
And a good battery.
And a new battery.
A good battery is important. I don't care what anybody says. The $20 ones are fine, but the better ones are better. You get what you pay for.
But honestly, in 1 year, that is a full summary of the issues. And 1 week was user error. And part of that, let's talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about, it's not a new engine. It was in use for several years before us by military.
Yep.
Came out on the commercial market a year ago. Documentation, right? So that's something that we're working on. Sky being a smaller company, they've been trying to get together the documentation on this engine, which is, if we had that maybe a year ago, we wouldn't have struggled with our hot start issue, because we didn't understand the right.
But we're also learning it at the same time for you guys, so that way we can tell you everything so you don't have to deal with it.
Exactly, and we've learned a ton, and we've actually put together some really good documentation of our own that we provide to our clients that is specific to the care, feeding, and maintenance of this engine. But in the meantime, Sky Engines is working on, and I do expect, actually, they promised this week we would have a complete draft of documentation.
It'll be done before this video gets out anyway.
For this motor, so we'll see, I hope.
So a big question that everyone's going to have is maintenance, and how often does it need to be done? What needs to be done? Can you do it at home? Do you need a mechanic? What do you think, Travis? Can we do it all at home?
Well, I think at least underneath the major maintenance service, but let's talk about the schedule that Sky Engines puts out, and I'll just go over it real briefly. So first 5 hours, and after 15 hours, global check the tightening of the bolts. I think I can do that at home. Every 25 hours, check the muffler silent block conditions. So again, that's basic. You guys flying paramotors, you check your silent blocks, make sure the rubber's not cracking.
Visual inspection.
Do that every 25 hours. Then we jump to 50 hours. 50 hours, we're going to check our clutch pad wear. Well, that's easy because we have a dry clutch on this machine. The clutch is not buried inside of a gearbox. The gearbox comes off with the 4 bolts. So you can look at your clutch, make sure the pads look good, and screw the 4 bolts back in and reattach your gearbox. So that's easy. Reduction oil level, that's easy to check. Make sure you've got the proper oil level in your reduction gearbox. Check your coolant level, that's easy, and then all silent blocks for the engine. So that's your 50 hours, and then also the only things that you need to change at 50 is a spark plug. And they say do consider checking the packing inside the silencer for if that needs to be changed. At 100 hours, they recommend you change all your engine rubber silent blocks, your fuel pump, your gas hoses, etc., etc. So again, on condition to a degree, you guys can look at those things. If your gas hoses are brittle, then you probably do need to change the fuel pump, primer, stuff like that too, because anything that's rubberized and gets brittle, you want to get that changed out. So
it all sounds pretty standard, not like it's going to be a full overhaul or anything. It all sounds pretty standard and things that we already check anyway.
You guys may have noticed we didn't even talk about tightening head bolts because it's not required on this engine. The head bolts are buried underneath the water jacket, and the way that they are attached, they cannot loosen, so there is no checking the tightening of the head bolts on the Zeus. Then every 150 hours, they want you to clean the combustion chamber, so open it up, decarbon things. That's pretty standard to do, around 100 to 150.
On pretty much every paramotor.
And check your piston rings, roller bearings, and make sure everything's in good condition and not worn. At 200 hours, we actually get to our first maybe significant maintenance service, where it says to check the crankshaft ball bearings for wear and to change the crankshaft seals. That doesn't sound too bad to me, does it?
No, in 200 hours for most people is that's a lot of hours. The average pilot flies 30 to 50 hours a year. It's 4 years of flying before you got to touch it.
Right.
Or get into it, I should say.
So how about the parts? Like, what's going on? Somebody needs a part. How's that working right now?
833 Be Alive. You just call us and we get you the parts that you need. So we are the Sky Engine importer. We are in the process of building a stock of parts for all of the Sky Engines. So we will be the direct support for it, the parts, all of the above. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for anybody who gets one of these engines, especially on a Fly Products.
Kyle, you actually have flown this machine more than all of us probably combined in classes over the last year with students. What's your pilot experience like on this machine?
It's just smooth. I think for a lot of people that's the question, right? They want it to be smooth. You have passengers in it, and the throttle response has been phenomenal. That is something that I really enjoy, especially on a trike, is having a throttle that's nice and linear and it's not jumpy all over the place. Makes it really easy to teach students how to taxi, but also just while you're doing tandems and just overall flying. The throttle response and the throttle curve on it is great, and honestly, it's just the power that it has for what it weighs there's nothing that can compare. The extra power is, you can tell when Allie and I are flying next to each other. She is on the same exact trike with a different engine, and I can outclimb them if same glider, same weight. It's not even a race.
It's at least double.
It's not even a race. 280-pound passenger in the front seat still climbs like a rocket. So, I could keep rambling, but at the end of the day, you have to fly it and use it to really be able to tell what the difference is.
Right.
And honestly, once you start it and hear it, that's a pretty good indicator too.
Yeah. Let's talk real quick. I know we've seen some comments in social media, people saying that this thing, it's impossible for this engine to be reliable because it revs to almost 11,000 RPM, which is pretty high for a paramotor engine. It's got a 4-to-1 reduction, but 11,000 RPM is how they squeeze 44 horsepower and over 300 pounds of thrust out of this machine. That's a valid concern. I mean, as you guys know, race engines are designed differently. They are designed, in the high-end race world to run up to, 20,000 RPM.
For 5 seconds.
But engines can be designed to run safely and reliably at higher RPMs. You don't use the same components that you put into an engine that's designed to run at 5,000 RPMs. You use different materials and different design work so that you can safely go that high. And that's exactly what Sky Engines has done. I can assure you there's no evidence that shows this engine is any less reliable because it hits nearly 11,000 RPM. Okay, they have a crankshaft in here that was designed to run up to 18,000 RPM. Now, if you get this thing up that high, you've got well,
No
you got
prop on it?
problems. Your prop's coming apart at that point. But, Sky's done some really unique thing. I mean, I will talk about the company a little bit. I like to say they're a boutique engine company, but boutique also leads to the experience of feeling like they might be there and might not be there.
Yeah.
But what I mean by boutique is they, at the heart of what they do, and they're passionate what they do, is to build extremely high quality, extremely high performance engines. They don't care if they sell 300 of them this year. They just want engines that make their customers happy, and they're willing to put in the time and the effort and the craftsmanship to do that, and that's the most important thing. So this engine's been designed a little bit differently. First off, it's really 2 engines in one.
It has a cylinder on the bottom that you can't see, so it is a twin cylinder.
It is a twin. It's a boxer design. 2 engines in one connected to a common crankcase. Now, the crankcase is not cast and then cut. It's actually milled from block.
It's a billet CNC.
This is a billet CNC block. When you do billet CNC, tolerances are much tighter.
Yep.
Tolerance stacking is not nearly as big of an issue because tolerances are so tight. So you can build an engine with extremely tight tolerances that can withstand those higher RPMs and those higher temperatures. The materials that are used in the bearings and the connecting rod and the crankshaft assembly, all those are built a little bit differently, and they're built with extreme tight tolerance and balance. The Sky Engines actually makes the majority of this engine in-house. They're not taking a component cylinder here from this company and this here from this company and stacking it together. The whole engine is vertically integrated in-house. So that's what leads to good tolerances, good reliability, good tolerance stacking, smoothness, balance, all those things when you put that time and effort into making everything from the ground up to fit together for this specific engine and for this purpose. So let's just talk about just looking at it. I mean, looking at the quality just from the surface. I
feel like when you look at any engine, it's like, is there excess? Now this one obviously has time on it, so this one is used.
Sure.
And just looking at it, it's like, yeah, okay. Is there a little dust on there? Actually, not really. I did that thinking there would be dust, and there wasn't. But it's just, you can see how nice the craftsmanship is on it. Even when you look at like where the reed valves go and this whole part of the casing, you can see how direct and nicely milled it is.
Yeah.
It also just it's also easier to clean. I've noticed that if you have something that's cast and it has a coating on it, things kind of stick to it. But with a CNC case, such as the Sky engine, it just comes right off. So it's actually a lot easier to clean as well. We talked a lot about reliability and the high RPM. Well, one thing I really didn't hit on, I do tandems and things with this, and I do have the most hours on this trike out of anybody here. But I'm also doing tandems all the time. So I am at a nice steady power for a decent amount of time for the taxi. But then when I'm climbing, it's full power. I'm not being nice to it. I'll hold full power for 4 or 5 minutes, get up to X thousands of feet that I need to with my student, because we want to utilize our time when we're doing training, because we only have so much. So I'm pinned. So I've essentially treated like this, like I stole it. Yeah. Just a heads up for reliability. I kind of fly it like I stole it. So yeah, I'm definitely not nice to it in the way that you would think you should be.
It's funny because the folks at Sky Engines have actually almost like dared us to open up and see what it looks like on the inside, because they say we're going to be shocked at how clean it is. And I think we'll wait because it's doing well. I don't like to open up engines for no reason.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Let's get it to 100 hours, and then we'll open it up. And when we do that, we'll video it so people can see what an engine looks like. What's the top of the piston look like? What's the cylinder head? What's all that stuff look like at 100 hours, the connecting rod, Is it clean? Does it look worn? Is it carboned up? But, I mean, I'm excited to do that, but let's do that later.
Yeah, well, we'll do that later when we need to actually do that.
So Allie says we have to talk about what could be better. And I mean, honestly, there's no product in the world that you can't look at and say, well, something could be better. But, I mean, as a paramotor tandem pilot, this really does fill an awesome void right now for the higher powered engines, the Rotaxes, the RMZs that are no longer available or in existence.
Or way more expensive.
And way more expensive, and it does it in a much lighter package. So this thing drags around or loads into a vehicle or a trailer. It's like super easy. This is not a heavy engine. We have a brand new one that just came into stock, just the engine the other day. And I weighed it 59 pounds. That's with the E-Start. So, it was
that no fluids or fluids?
No fluids.
No fluids.
No fluids, no props. So you're going to add 6 to 8 ounces of fluids and the weight of the prop. Yeah. So that, I mean, that's a really good weight for 44 horsepower, over 300 pounds of thrust. But I mean, what could be better? Make an engine that lasts forever and burns 0.1 liters an hour of fuel. There's honestly like nothing annoying about this. There's nothing that's I would say like, well, that's kind of annoying. There really isn't. I mean, we've had nothing that consistently loosens up that needs to be fixed. The carb hasn't required any adjustments. And occasionally the idle adjustment, which is easy, you can do it by hand right here.
That's common.
Going from winter to summer, but that's it. We haven't changed jets. We haven't tuned anything. We haven't changed the low air screw. Nothing. It's just been working. There is a choke on the carb, so I think we've used it maybe 2 or 3 times if we come out here and it's 28 degrees.
Yeah.
And it wants it's
twice a year.
Yeah, it's a little trouble cold starting at the temperature. You just pull the choke and leave the choke on for about 30 seconds after you start it and then turn it off. So no big deal. Normal Florida temperatures, it starts just fine cold at 55 degrees and up without any issues at all.
And I'm sitting here staring at it going like, what else could I change on this? Going, I don't really have a whole lot. It does what it's supposed to do. You hit the button, it starts, it's got a ton of power, it's really smooth, it's been really reliable for us. I don't know what else to say. I'm sure somebody could find some quirks on it. Like you said, no engine is perfect.
Yeah.
One thing that we saw on the carburetor, there's a slit in one of these hoses on both sides, and I thought it was broken because I didn't understand that carburetor. Yeah, it's on purpose. Well, I didn't know that, and now I do, so that's supposed to be there. But
okay, so I want everybody to know this. There is no charging circuit on this engine.
Oh, yes.
There's no stator. You're not charging the battery when you fly. We have found, we've got a client in Jacksonville that has an Eco 2 with this engine, and it's the fully built out one with the Skyflar and all the glass stuff in the cockpit. So it's pulling power from the battery. And they found out they can go about 2.5 hours with all their Skyflar, their equipment running before that battery goes dead. If the battery does go dead, obviously it has zero effect on the engine, except you can't e-start it now. And but other than that, it still runs. If you shut it down, you can pull start it. Honestly, on an engine like this, I'd much prefer to e-start.
Yes.
But so yeah, there's no charging circuit. If you're going to run accessories, if you're going to run lights and air horns and things like that, we highly recommend that you put a separate battery strapped to your trike and run those items off of that. Otherwise, after you get done flying, there is a charging port that's built into the trike. You simply plug in the XT60 connector, let it sit on the charger when you're not using it, and then you never have to worry about it. It's going to be good to go.
And I'd recommend, if you're not using it, it's just sitting in the garage, even for a week, leave it on the maintain balance charger. It's not going to hurt anything. It'll always stay charged for you then. And honestly, I would do that with anything, any paramotor that has a battery, I would do that with anyway.
Well, I mean, you've flown this the most. What's the use case for this? This does cost more money than other options.
It does.
Okay.
No question.
So what justifies spending more money? Yeah, you're getting more horsepower, you're getting more thrust, you're getting smoother, but who needs to spend more money to get that? What's the use case?
It's just going to depend on a couple of major factors. One, are you doing tandems? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. Are you doing tandems? Because I'll be honest, could you fly this solo? Absolutely you can. I would not recommend somebody who's a $180 throwing this on a Vertigo or this for solo flying.
A rider.
And you could. People have flown this for lunch before. Now, maybe you're the guy that goes outback camping. That's what you want to do, and you want to use this trike to do that, then for sure, this engine would be great. Gets you in and out of tight spots really quickly, which is nice. But for the vast majority of people, they're going to be using this for tandems. That's going to be their use case. And if you're doing tandems, it's great. And also for higher elevation people. If you're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 feet, this is a great option that is going to get you that extra power that you would otherwise not have. So yeah, tandems and high elevation are going to be the biggest parts of this.
I love all those ideas, and I agree with you. And a lot of people, again, this machine's gonna, if they can fit in the seat, you're gonna be able to take them up tandem. If you're flying in the mountains, you're gonna be able to take them up tandem. If it's hot, high, and heavy, you're gonna be able to go up and fly tandem. But one of my favorite things to do with this, actually, is taking, we have this wing, the Dudek Bosun. It's basically a tandem wing that is a competition level tandem wing. It's not a beginner, and it's sort of based on the Hadron, but in tandem size, and
it's a lot of fun.
And we take it up in the Bosun 34 or a 31 and going up tandem, because you have so much horsepower and so much thrust. You can fly a 34, you can fly a 31 on tandem and still have plenty of reserve to play with the wings. So I'm not recommending that that every tandem pilot go out there and do, you know,
You need at least like
big wing overs.
4 or 5 years doing tandems before you get on that and actually use
If you
it.
are an expert pilot and trike and you have this machine and you want to go up there on tandem and do big tandem wing overs and playing around, you can do that. And it's a lot of fun. It feels like the control that you have when you're foot launching.
It does.
And you can put that
Yeah.
much power with that high of performance wing, but you're on a big tandem trike, and it's just absolutely amazing and fun. Not a very prevalent use case, but
No. Fun,
this will do it, and that's our favorite thing. But just an extremely versatile machine, and smooth, powerful, a pleasure to use, a pleasure to maintain, super simple. Even the gearbox oil in here doesn't need to be changed but every 100 hours. That's, again, some of you guys are like, oh, my unit says I have to change it every 10 to 25 hours, and that doesn't make any sense. Well, let me explain. The reason why it makes sense is because the clutch is not in the gearbox. The clutch is a dry clutch. It sits behind the gearbox. The gearbox is just the gearbox. So you're not getting brake dust coming off a clutch going into your gear oil.
Yeah.
It also uses really high quality gears. It uses very high quality gearing and materials and high quality gear oil. So again, it's only a 100-hour item to change the gear oil, which is amazing. Who shouldn't spend the money?
A guy like my size who's going to try to foot launch it might be a bad idea. But who shouldn't buy it? A new trike pilot. Just being honest, if you're a brand new trike pilot that weighs 160 pounds, it's going to be a bit much for you. Now, if you're a 250-pound solo trike pilot and you want something that you can grow into and not, you're still going to have a ton of power. And we really do base our what we recommend to students based on their skill level, not what's in stock or anything like that. So yeah, if you're 250 pounds and you've shown us that you have good throttle control, I have no problem at all. You'll have no issues with it. In fact, it'll be a little easier for you because of how smooth it is.
Thanks for watching. If you guys use the Zeus or you have any questions about the Zeus 300, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're super happy to share our experience, and we're excited to see what this does in the market.